Something strange happens before your world changes quietly, almost without warning. One morning you wake up, and the things that once drove you forward no longer make sense. The desire, the passion, the goals, gone. It feels as if a hidden switch inside you was flipped by forces you can't name. But what if this isn't failure? What if something far older and deeper inside you has just opened its eyes? Stay with me, because what you're feeling may not be an ending at all, but the first tremor of awakening. No one tells you this part. They talk about enlightenment as light and peace, but not about what it takes from you first. When the soul begins to stir, it doesn't grant ease. It strips away illusion. Life doesn't suddenly grow brighter, it becomes uncomfortably real. After a spiritual awakening, an unseen paradox unfolds. You begin to see that you are not your job, not your past, not even your thoughts. For a while, that truth feels sacred, almost divine. Then comes the hollow silence. The air turns still. Everything appears the same, but the meaning behind it has vanished. The world you once recognized feels foreign. Before we go deeper, take a moment to subscribe to SYC Soul. Like this video and hit the bell icon so you never miss what's waiting ahead. Share this with someone who might quietly need it tonight. Now back to the silence that follows awakening. It isn't depression, it's the shattering of your inner narrative. You suddenly realize that awakening doesn't just open your awareness. It dismantles everything you once thought you were. The trophies, the validation, even your reflection in the mirror, they begin to lose weight. When that entire structure collapses, what remains? Just the unmasked self, trembling in its rawness. Carl Jung called this the encounter with the self, that sacred and terrifying instant when the ego understands it is no longer the center of existence. And that realization doesn't feel like liberation, it feels like death. The persona, the mask you've worn to survive, begins to dissolve into mist. What replaces it isn't clarity, it's a fog that swallows every certainty you once had. The story of you disappears, and your mind clings desperately to anything familiar beliefs, new dogmas, even sorrow, just to feel something solid again. But what if this darkness isn't punishment? What if it's an invitation into something far greater? Hold on to that thought. In the next part, we'll uncover how Carl Jung believed this emptiness isn't the fall of your spirit, but the threshold to its rebirth. So, if that emptiness you feel isn't a punishment, what is it really? Carl Jung believed the void that appears after awakening isn't the end of your journey, it's the invitation to begin the real one. But here's the part that confuses most seekers. The path doesn't ascend into heavenly light. It turns inward, descending into the depths of your own being. And that's where many souls lose their way. Most people think awakening is the final destination, the grand arrival. Jung would whisper otherwise. It's only the threshold, the moment the real work begins. He once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Because once the ego cracks open, the unconscious begins to seep through your fears, your regrets, your hidden wounds. The shadow you've buried for years finally speaks. And here lies the paradox. We are taught to seek light, to chase positivity, to bypass the dark. Yet Jung insisted that darkness is sacred. It holds the missing half of the soul. That's why after awakening, you might feel restless, numb, or strangely detached from the world. You've expanded awareness, but you haven't yet integrated it. This is the stage Jung called individuation, the slow, sometimes painful merging of all the fragments that make you whole. It's not glamorous. It's emotional, messy, human. But it's the only way meaning is reborn, not by escaping life, but by participating in it fully, without illusion. Pause for a second. Are you feeling this somewhere inside you? If you can relate to what's unfolding here, tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching this from. It helps me know if this message is reaching the hearts it was meant for. And if you're finding clarity in these words, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Now, let's challenge one of the most dangerous misunderstandings. Ego death isn't enlightenment, it's shock. The ego isn't evil, it's incomplete. Jung never wanted us to destroy it. He wanted us to mature it, to evolve it into balance with the soul and the unconscious. That's the difference between escaping and awakening. So if you're sitting in that fragmented space, wondering why your life feels disjointed, it's because you've cracked the shell, but haven't built the new structure yet. And rebuilding takes patience, honesty, and time. Many avoid it. They distract themselves, chase spiritual highs, or drown in self-analysis. But Jung's philosophy was clear. The meaning you're searching for isn't outside. It's buried in the parts of yourself you've yet to meet. The real question now becomes, how do you rebuild meaning once the old one has collapsed? How do you find direction when you can't return to who you were? Hold on to that question. In the next part, we'll dive into how Carl Jung believed you could reconstruct your identity after awakening, not by going back, but by becoming who you were always meant to be. Have you felt that strange tension within you, the urge to move forward, but the sense that you're trapped between two worlds? One part of you longs to step into something new, while another clings to the fading echo of who you used to be. It's as if life is waiting for your next breath, but no green light ever comes. Carl Jung called this the reconstruction of the self, and most never make it beyond this phase. Many circle endlessly here, caught between awakening and rebirth. They drift in that fog, numbing it with distraction, or pretending detachment is peace. But Jung discovered something extraordinary. The path forward doesn't demand more effort. It demands deeper understanding. Not action, but awareness. He spoke of archetypes, the hidden blueprints of the human psyche. These are not myths or stories. They are living patterns of transformation within us. The hero, the seeker, the wise one, the orphan, each reflects a stage of becoming. Before awakening, you may have lived through the archetype of the achiever or the survivor, pushing yourself through life's demands. But when that identity collapses, the soul begins calling for another form. That's why everything starts to feel hollow. You're not broken. You've simply outgrown the mask you once needed. That emptiness is not decay. It's spaciousness, waiting for truth to take root. And here's the beauty of Jung's insight. Your task isn't to become good or even enlightened. It's to become whole. That means welcoming the contradictions, the parts you hide, the grief you deny, the brilliance you downplay. Wholeness is not perfection. It's integration. It's the courage to stand in your full humanity, light and shadow together. Most ignore their dreams, brushing them off as nonsense. But Jung didn't. He saw them as letters from the unconscious, messages from the depths of the psyche, guiding us toward balance. Each symbol, each recurring image, carries a fragment of your new identity waiting to be remembered. So tonight, when you dream, don't rush to interpret. Just watch. Record what you see: faces, animals, impossible buildings, familiar strangers. Over time, patterns emerge. The unconscious begins to reveal the architecture of your next self. As you start to act on these quiet hints, something magical happens. Synchronicities appear. Life begins to whisper back, answering the conversation your soul started. These are not coincidences. They're confirmations. The outer world rearranges itself around your inner evolution. But awareness alone isn't enough. You still have a world to live in, bills to pay, relationships to hold, responsibilities to meet. So how do you carry this new self into the chaos of modern life? How do you bring balance between the sacred and the ordinary? Stay close. In the next part, we'll explore exactly how Carl Jung believed you could live your awakening, not by escaping reality, but by transforming within it with purpose, clarity, and quiet strength. When you finally begin to live your awakening, You realize the journey was never about escaping the world. It was about returning to it with new eyes. The ordinary begins to shimmer with quiet significance. A stranger's glance, a passing breeze, the silence after midnight, each moment becomes a doorway to something sacred. And suddenly, you understand what Carl Jung meant when he said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." You no longer chase meaning in things outside yourself. You begin to create it moment by moment, through awareness, compassion, and presence. The external world no longer defines you. It mirrors you. What once felt like chaos now feels like conversation. The universe speaks not through miracles, but through patterns. Jung believed that to live consciously is to participate in creation itself. Every decision, every reaction, every silence is a brushstroke on the canvas of your destiny. You are not just observing life, you are co-authoring it with the unseen forces within and around you. But don't mistake awakening for perfection. There will still be shadows, still be doubts, still be days when the silence returns. Yet this time, you'll know that silence isn't emptiness. It's guidance. You'll stop running from uncertainty because you'll recognize it as the language of growth. If you've reached this point, you've already walked further than most. You've crossed the threshold of illusion, met the shadow, and begun to rebuild the self from truth. And maybe now, you see that spiritual awakening isn't light descending from above. It's light rising from within. Take a breath. Feel that quiet pulse inside you. That's the rhythm of your rebirth. Jung called it individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole. It's not something you finish. It's something you live. And as you move forward, remember this. You are not here to become someone else. You are here to remember the person you were before the world told you who to be. So if this journey touched something inside you, if these words resonated with your own silent transformation, let it be known. Share this video with the one who might be standing where you once stood, searching for meaning in the dark. And before you go, make sure you're subscribed to SYC Soul, like this video, and turned on the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter of awakening that awaits. Because sometimes all it takes is one insight to change the direction of an entire life. Until next time, keep listening to the whispers within. They always lead you home.